Oh man, this microphone stand is sick. This is so nice. It feels professional. Oh man. Isn't that right, Mango? Mango? Hello and welcome. I'm Peter. This is the new microphone stand, and this is a new haircut. Anyways, thank you. Yes, I'm Peter. Welcome to another Tekken Beginners Fundamentals video. But before we start, I want to do a quick shout out to all the patrons, all the viewers, and all the subscribers. Thank you. This new microphone stand was funded by all of you guys, including the Patreons, viewers, subscribers, whatever you want to call it. Okay. Thank you so much. As you may have noticed, there is a significant difference in terms of the sound quality. That's because the microphone stand is now, or because of the microphone stand, the mic is closer to me, so now I can sound better to you. Hopefully. Anyways, yes, this channel has been a product of all your guys' love and support, as well as all of your guys' comments, likes, what have you. Thank you once again. We interrupt this program with a patron birthday shout out. Happy birthday, John Fisher, you beautiful bastard. Now, back to the program. Now, today we're going to be diving into Tekken Beginner Fundamentals once more. And in this video, we're going to explore the topic of Power Crushes. We're going to take a look at what Power Crush attacks are, how they work, when to use them, how to counter them, and a whole host of other things, right? So, bear with me in this, and we're going to get started. Power Crush. What is a Power Crush? Well, a Power Crush is a property that allows an attack to absorb other attacks and plow right through it, theoretically. Think of this as super armor in games like Super Smash Bros. Or Mortal Kombat, Injustice, or even focus attacks in Street Fighter 4. Now, let's take a look at an example. Something like Brian's Mach Punch, forward 2. Mach Punch has a Power Crush property. If an opponent tries to interrupt it midway through or trade with Mach Punch, the attack is absorbed by Brian and he's able to bulldoze right through the pain, right? There are now two easy ways to tell if an attack has Power Crush properties. Well, semi-easy. First is by looking in your move list. So when you pull up the move list in practice mode, scroll until you see a red icon on the right of the move. And this red icon kind of looks like a little armor symbol, like a little dude with armor. So that's the first way. And this is by far the easiest way. And then second is by noticing that there's a white glowing aura that flashes before the attack comes out. Though this can be hard to discern, okay? Especially if hidden by hideous outfits and the background is white or brightly colored. Want an example? Right here, man. Right here. We've all been here. All right, now that we know what Power Crushes are, let's dive just a little bit deeper. All right, the first thing I want to talk about is damage reduction. Damage reduction. So there is a myth going around that Power Crush attacks reduce damage, and that simply isn't the case. Well, it isn't always the case. Let's just say that 99% of the time that Power Crush attacks do not reduce damage. Okay, as you can see here, Paul is doing his up forward 2 attack, and on regular hit it does this much damage. And now when we Power Crush, up forward 2 does this much damage. Notice any difference? No. So Power Crush does not reduce damage. Now, I think that this myth about damage reduction stems from the fact that we don't experience counter hit damage when the armor activates. So typically in Tekken, if trades occur, you get a counter hit on both sides, right? Whoop. You get counter hit on both sides. However, in the case of performing a Power Crush, this is not the case, or usually not the case. Watch as Brian eats Paul's forward 1+2. Paul is clearly hitting Brian first during Brian's activations, but when the armor kicks in, because of the armor, Brian doesn't take a counter hit damage, just regular damage. Second up, Crush Window. The Power Crush armor of an attack typically all start at around frame 8 of an attack and lasts until 1 to 2 frames right before the attack comes out. So what does this mean exactly? Well, basically this means that Power Crush attacks can be interrupted from frames 1 to 7. As a result, Power Crush attacks cannot really be used as a way to avoid close quarter pressure when either we are at minus frames or the opponent is at very plus frames. Power Crush attacks, generally speaking, cannot be used to get out of these types of pressures. Another thing to point out is during a Power Crush, we can absorb more than one hit. Great, right? This sounds fantastic. Well, not exactly. Not always. Sometimes this can be very detrimental. See, natural strings will hit us, freezing us in time, like just freezing in time. And we cannot continue our Power Crush attacks until that natural string has ended or there's some sort of gap that happens. Sometimes this can result in significant damage taken before we hit our opponent. All right. In addition to being able to absorb more than one hit. Depending on how fast our Power Crush comes out, the opponent actually can have enough time to recover from an attack and block the Power Crush and also get out their attacks. Usually this only happens with very fast moves, so don't worry too much because you're not gonna, take too much damage from this. Usually just like a jab or two here before you're able to, get your Power Crush off. Alright, so the last thing I want to talk about in regards to Power Crush is hit level. Okay, standard Power Crush moves come in 2 flavors. They either hit high or they hit mid. Now, high Power Crush attacks can obviously be ducked and while standing punished. Easy. Also, high Power Crush moves also are typically all -9 or less. However, some prominent exceptions are Law's DSS 1+2, Shaheen's forward 4, and these two virtually are unpunishable. Even though they're -10, they are not punishable, even by somebody like Jack. So don't try to punish this really. Maybe they can be punished at the wall or something, but aside from that, out in the open, they're virtually unpunishable. Now, there's 2 more, which is Brian's forward 2, which is his mock punch, and Steve's flicker back 2. So these 2 actually can be punished, but are extremely hard to punish. Brian's forward 2, this can be punished at -10 by people like Jack and Gigas, maybe also Bears. But this is very hard to do because it's a -10 move, and depending on how shallow it hits, it's not punishable. And Steve's flicker back 2, this is also hard to do, depending on what range Steve hits his back 2 from flicker. Now, anyhow, so the mid options for Power Crushes, generally speaking, are at least jab punishable, but have a wide range. They can be as safe as, say, something like -12 on block, like Horang's left flamingo stance, back 3. or Josie's down forward 3+4. These are -12. Or they can be something like Law's forward 3, Dragon Cannon, or Lily's forward 2. Both of these attacks are -17. So as you can see, there is a wide spectrum for mid Power Crush attacks in terms of how punishable they are. They can be somewhere between a 12 frame punish to a launcher, right? Now, there is one exception to mid Power Crushes, maybe more, but at least one, and that's Eddie's up back 3. This is a mid Power Crush that is safe on block. The reason for this is because it's quite possibly the slowest Power Crush attack in the game, and it's not particularly great. But I'll get more into that later. When to Power Crush. Alright, now that you know all about the properties of Power Crush, what a Power Crush is, how to do a Power Crush, whether it's a high or mid, yada yada yada, when do Power Crush? Well, because Power Crushes have armor, it is very useful to use when trying to catch an opponent pressing buttons when they shouldn't. After hitting an opponent with an attack that is either plus on hit or plus on block, a Power Crush can be used to catch an opponent pressing buttons. This is especially true when the opponent hesitates and allows us to gain more frame advantage than we normally would. So use here. Second place to use it is when we are getting pushed close to a wall. Notice I said close to a wall, not at a wall. A Power Crush is definitely something that can help shift the momentum and create space and allow you to mount some sort of an offense afterwards. However, since most of the mid Power Crush attacks in this game are at least -12, do this with caution, especially if your back is against the wall, okay? Because at -12, a lot of characters can actually wall splat you with their 12 frame Punisher, and this can be extremely scary. For example, Paul, he will absolutely destroy you if you use a mid Power Crush that actually is -12 or more. So be cautious. Awesome, so Power Crushes are useful, they're great, but my opponent constantly uses them. How do I counter them? Well, there are 4 main ways to counter Power Crush attacks. First and foremost, the easiest way is to use a quick low attack. One of the biggest weaknesses of Power Crush attacks is that they are all interruptible by low attacks. Regardless of if the Power Crush is a mid or a high attack, low attacks will cancel out the Power Crush properties. And this goes doubly true for high attacks, since some low attacks will actually slip under high attacks. So use these. Now, the second way to counter Power Crush attacks is to interrupt them before the armor kicks in at around frame 8. And all it takes is a simple jab. That's all you need. And if you jab, immediately hold block. In the event that you didn't interrupt it, you can still have time, most of the time, to block still afterwards. And the third way to counter Power Crush attacks is to throw the opponent. Now, normally when you throw an opponent, they can tech it. No problem, right? I've set the computer to tech all the throws, teching no problem. However, if a Power Crush is met with a throw during its armor window, the throw cannot be teched whatsoever. This is one of the few examples in the game where throws cannot be teched. But this is not something that you normally would do when you see a Power Crush attack come out, but is generally something good to know. Now, the fourth and final way to counter Power Crush attacks, and maybe one of the better ways, is actually simply to be out of range of it. This can be either through moving backwards or moving in the Z-axis, moving sideways to avoid it, or a combination of both, right? Backdashing and sidestepping, backdashing and sidestepping, backdashing and sidestepping, you get the idea. So those are the 4 main ways to counter Power Crushes. So the last topic I would love to talk about is that not all power crushes are equal. Like any attacks in this game, power crushes are not all made the same. Some characters have fantastic power crushes, while others have okay and some are niche power crushes. You may even say garbage. For example, let's take a look at two characters who have very polarizing power crushes. Hwoarang and Eddie. Now, Hwoarang has a right foot forward 3 slide 4, or right foot forward 3 tilde 4, or you know what I mean. This is backlash, okay? Backlash. Anyone who has played against Hwoarang has seen this attack because it's really good. This shit hits like a fucking truck and is a launcher, is homing, grants a tailspin, power crushes, has good range, has good damage, it's safe on block. There's so many good things about this attack. The only bad thing is maybe that it's a high and that it comes out in 27 frames and not slower, but you know, considering all the properties it has, this is fantastic. I mean, look at how much damage this thing can grant. Just look at it. Does so much damage. Now then, we have Eddie. Eddie has one of his power crushes, up back 3. This thing comes out in 30 frames. It doesn't launch. Before we talk about not launching, just look at the range on this thing. This has really bad range. It doesn't catch people from range 1. You have to be a little bit closer than range 1. Also, it doesn't launch. All right? It doesn't home. And hell, it doesn't even knock down. And against the wall, like, it doesn't even give a wall splat. So yes, it does force crouch on hit and gives you +6 to +10 frames on hit, but that's nothing compared to what Hwoarang gets for something that's 3 frames faster, gives a full launch, gives massive damage, allows for a great wall carry, and you get the idea. So hopefully this just gives you a little taste to understanding that there is a wide spectrum here. There's a wide spectrum of sugary goodness when it comes to power crush attacks. Alrighty guys, thank you for tuning in to this week's topic, and if you enjoyed this at all, please go ahead and leave me a comment, like, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, you know the drill. And if you would like to be a part of the Patreon to help the channel grow and to help fund more of my videos, please do so. It's in the video description below, and it's going to be in the end title. And last thing, I have a Discord channel. It's also in the description, so be sure to check that out if you have any further questions. There's a lot of other people out there who are either beginners, intermediates, and we're all there to help. So with that, thanks for tuning in. I'm Peter, and I'm signing out. Take care, guys. Peace.